Now, Lydia, it was raised the issue whether this is robbing Peter to pay Paul. And Carlos had talked about it originally as being a source of funds for blighted areas. So what we're doing now is stopping the development, which has led to jobs and new housing, and it's resulting in layoffs of hundreds, perhaps even thousands of people. So what are we gaining? And why is it? You know, some would say when the progress gets underway, there's always something that comes along that pushes everything back.
Right. I think it's really hard. You think about your own household budget, for example, and you've got limited resources, and the question is, do you put away for your children's college fund, or do you pay the utility bills that are due next month? And I would liken that to what's happening here, where there are a lot of services that are immediate needs, whether it's you know, the schools needed to stay open, or whatever it is. Water continues to have to flow through our system, or do you look long term and think about what will happen at Coley Landing 20 years from now, because you need to start that investment today. It's a hard decision to make in terms of what do you give up today for a long-term vision for tomorrow. I think that's really the crux of the issue.
Well, it seems right now we're talking about giving up the long-term vision to take care of immediate needs.
Makes it very, very difficult. And there are a lot of folks out there who are trying to figure out what comes next. The redevelopment is gone. The agencies do not exist. And so what are the new tools that might be out there to try and make a Ravenswood happen?
Okay, do you know, it's interesting that people always think, okay, the obstacle becomes the opportunity. So where is the role of creativity and opportunity in this?
I think
I didn't mean to stop you, Lydia. Maybe you had the answer.
I have no answer.
I don't have a silver bullet either, and I think Lydia put it well. In terms of hardships, which, you know, right now the state and everyone, our economy is in a difficult position. You look at the golden goose, and when you're hungry, you might want to think about eating it. And it is true that redevelopment not always lay a golden egg. Sometimes it was a lead egg, because some communities did abuse redevelopment. But that happens with everything.
And do you penalize all of the communities, 400 agencies, because of what some of them might have done? Or do you go after the money of the some?
What happened in this case was that we have basically killed the golden
the goose
golden
that
goose.
lays the golden egg.
Now it might be a short-term solution, and now we're thinking, well, what is it? How is it that we're going to address the challenges of tomorrow? And that's where we...
Yeah, but I think some folks might argue as well. I mean, if AB 27 was upheld, and
now let's talk about
okay,
AB 27.
so AB 27 was the piece that the Supreme Court actually found to be unconstitutional. It's what Carlos had talked about as being the opt-in, which was essentially, if agencies chose to stay in existence, they essentially had to pay a price. They had to allow a certain additional portion of their revenue to go towards the schools to help the state balance their budget. And you know, the reason Proposition 22 was passed a few years ago was simply there were a number of years where redevelopment agencies were continually rated for the dollars, and the cities were saying, how can we plan our long-term investments if every year we're having to write a check to the state? And so while you know, in a short-term situation, I think agencies would have loved to have kind of stayed in business, pay the check, you know, people call it the ransom. This one agency staffer sent me this amazing little ransom note that they had made up when all this started. It was very artful. But eventually, I mean, you could just see, you know, okay, so this year you opt in. Next year, how much more do you have to opt in for? And I think there was a feeling that, you know, at some point this has to stop. and there has to be a longer term solution. So yes, it hurts tremendously, and it certainly hurts my business, and it hurts, you know, it's going to be a lot to come back from, because it definitely feels that the general attitude out there in the general population is redevelopment really worth it? And as we look to find other tools to start to invest in economic development, I think it's going to be a really hard sell for the population, the general population, to say, yes, this is worth it. Well, it's not going to be redevelopment. It'll be something else. And I don't know what it is.